What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progressive Action TV show. I am your host, Tremel Thompson, and today we have a special show today. Today we have someone who I call an ally. He's big in this whole labor freedom movement. Honorable guy, but before I get into him, I want to let you guys know about the rally that we are having. Let me take this off the screen. It's the MTA Workers and Riders Rally. We're going to be talking about, and this is just a little bit of the topics: rider worker safety, accessibility, subway, bus, accessorized service, women's issues, discipline, homelessness, EDP issues, public restrooms, hazard pay, MTA executive accountability, and whatever else you could think about. This rally is not only to those key points right there. It could be whatever you want. It could be the cleanliness of the subways, it could be whatever you want it to be. I just need you to come out. It is May 14th. That's a Saturday at Church Avenue on the B&Q. The B train don't run on the weekend, so it will be the Q to Church Avenue. We're going to be on the Church Avenue side, outside of the train station. We're going to start there, and we're going to end somewhere else. But like I said before, we have a very, very special guest today. And we not even going to waste no time to introduce him, man. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, Tremel? Thanks so much for bringing me on here, man.
You know, it's your first time on my platform. I may have
Yes.
been on your platform maybe like 3-4 times. So we got to start from the basics to introduce you to my base. Let the people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Michael Kane. I was a New York City public school teacher, special education teacher for 14 years, but I was placed on unpaid leave because I declined COVID vaccination. That happened in October of 2021. And then in February of this year, I was officially fired by Mayor Adams and his Department of Education. So I'm also the founder of Teachers for Choice, right over here, teachersforchoice.org. You can check us out. And we've been fighting mandates since August of 2020, actually. So we've been fighting this for a long time. When they brought in mandatory testing, that my union told me, the New York City Teachers Union, said if I don't oblige by their mandatory testing, the union said I'd be placed on unpaid leave. So once I saw my union turning against me, is what I actually felt. I said I was pretty well convinced that mandatory vaccination was going to come, and wouldn't you know, it did. So I'm currently suing New York City in a case known as Kane versus de Blasio, and I met you in August of 2021 when we had a big rally at City Hall. We got over 3,000 people there. And I was calling all the union heads at the time, actually, the head of the fire department union, police union, your union, Local 100, who I believe the individual who heads the union is Tony Utano. And a member of Teachers for Choice, Garrett Ramirez, a good friend of mine who does a lot of great work for Teachers for Choice, said, why don't you reach out to Tremel Thompson? And I was like, who's that? He's like, that's the guy I've been telling you about. He spoke out about Cuomo years ago. He's been speaking out against mandates for the MTA. MTA doesn't have a mandate. And I was like, yeah, let me reach out to Tremel. And I did that. You came, you spoke at City Hall to thousands of people. You killed it. You made amazing points. And from that day forward, we've been fighting these mandates together and in our alliance and working with other people. And this Monday, May 16th, we're going to be having a rally up in Albany. On January 5th, we had one. You spoke at that one where you told everyone you were vaccinated, but against the segregation, and ripped up your vaccine card, started the Rip It Up campaign. And we're going back May 16th to say no to mandates and make sure the lawmakers know we're not playing with this, that there's no way they can bring in more mandates to the working class people, the middle class people here in New York State.
So I want to back it up a little bit. What exactly is Teachers for Choice?
So Teachers for Choice was a grassroots organization that arose out of New York City and New York City teachers, which is 100% opposed to medical mandates for anybody to keep their jobs, especially educators. And that started in August of 2020 when we saw mandatory testing coming in. And we've just been building statewide ever since then, because medical mandates became fashionable, and they say they're for public health. And I believe at times that the powers that be really do mean them for good reasons and good intentions, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And they've been claiming this is all about public health, when my research and from what I'm seeing is that there's other agendas hidden under this. So Teachers for Choice is really involved in getting at the root of these causes and fighting for freedom and choice in all aspects of medical decisions.
Yeah. So, like you have explained, you have been on the front lines, and actually, you're responsible for getting me inside this freedom fighting movement last year. You guys have also been suing the city in hopes of getting your jobs back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We've been suing for over 6 months, 7 months now, since October of 2021. And we've won some really good victories. We got the New York City Department of Education to admit in open court that their religious exemption process was unconstitutional. So they made us reapply again. And they said they had a new system, and then they just denied us again. So our lawyers continue to fight, and our lawyers feel very confident that our case will be successful. But, you're 6, 7 months in, no paycheck, no job. It's very, very tough on people. I have personal friends who have caved after many months and gotten the shot to get their job back. But that is not an option for me. That's not happening no matter what. And there's a number of people, thousands of us, who feel the same way as I do. The court system, I think we're going to ultimately be victorious. I just don't know when, because what I'm seeing in the courts is this thing called gamesmanship, which is you have victories and you're winning and you're proving your point, but then you just get processed through the system and delayed, and you have to file a new brief and response, and they try to tire you out. They also, I think, try to exhaust your funds as well too. But we have a great legal team, and we have people ready to go the whole way on this. So I'm confident, I'm optimistic that good things will come. But the legal system is a long road to justice. It really is.
Now that's very true, and we have seen a lot of statements from politicians regarding mandates, and now we have this new conversation on abortions, where we have the Mayor Eric Adams, saying that it should be a woman's right to choose an abortion, but it shouldn't be a woman's right to choose for a mandate, or a man's right to choose for a mandate. Do you see any hypocrisy in those statements?
I think it's impossible not to see the hypocrisy. But the only argument against that, where they say, no, that's not the case, is they say, well, your medical decision of not getting the vaccine could get me sick, because now you could spread SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. But now we know that's not true. We know it's openly admitted the virus doesn't stop transmission. So the argument that my medical choice is impacting you is incorrect. All they really have now is they say, like, well, if you get the vaccine, it does a really good job of preventing death and hospitalizations. But that's on me. I mean, that's what's going to happen to me. That's not what's going to happen to you. I got COVID over this past winter. As a matter of fact, there was a big event in Washington, D.C. called Defeat the Mandates D.C. You went down to that. A lot of people did. I didn't, because I had Omicron, I had COVID. I got over it. I talked to doctors and medical experts I trusted. There was treatment available for me and my family, and we weren't vaccinated for this. So it really does fall flat when people try to say, you got to get the vaccine to keep me healthy. That's not the case with this vaccine. And that's basically admitted. And people are like holding on to this failed policy to the point now where if you're making lots of money in New York City, there's a carve out for some performers and athletes, but for working class people, no, I still have to follow this rule. So this really looks more like do what I say, not as I do, and much more like control than anything to do with public health.
Yeah. Speaking of defeat the mandates, you did make it to defeat the mandates LA though. What was your experience there?
Yeah, that was a great experience. Tens of thousands of people came out in Los Angeles to say no to mandates. California has 10, 11, 12 mandate bills that are not good bills, trying to force various medical procedures on people. We have a similar thing here in New York. That's why we're going to Albany May 16th. But I had the honor of getting on that stage and speaking for a couple of minutes. As did you. You tore it up. You did a fantastic job. And there was a lot of great people there. And the biggest thing for Defeat the Mandates for me and everything that they do is they get people from all different backgrounds together in one space. People very conservative like a Will Witt, or very liberal like a Max Blumenthal or a Jimmy Dore. And I really think that's so important, that this issue is not about politics. We could disagree on so many different things, but ultimately bodily autonomy and what happens to me and making medical choices has to be between me and my doctor. It just can't be between me and the state. Historically, we've seen when the state gets involved in medical procedures and decisions for individuals, it often does not turn out well.
That's exactly right. And I seen a tweet the other day saying that a woman's, like, they were talking about the abortion stuff. A woman's hospital room is not big enough for her doctor, and the government. And I feel that the government did impede on a lot of our rights. People make the statement and say, well, there were other vaccines that were mandated, but there was none that was never mandated in the middle of your career where you had to take it or your job was on the line.
That's an excellent point. There's very rarely are vaccines mandated for employment, for adults to have employment. And the COVID vaccine is really most comparable to the flu vaccine, because the flu vaccine doesn't stop transmission. We know that. We know you could get the flu shot and get the flu. You could get the flu shot and transmit flu to people. That's known and accepted. So it's basically pretty universal that the flu shot is choice, because you have to decide what risk you want to take and what treatments that you want to do. And the COVID vaccine operates the same way. So to now say you have to have this to be employed really just blows my mind. It's not like a vaccine that has sterilized immunity. What that would mean is it stops transmission and you can't give it to somebody else. Now, I personally think that should not be mandated either. But at least that's a different argument. Like, if you had a vaccine that did that, you might have a stronger argument against me than people currently do on this COVID vaccine. And when you bring up employment, that's an interesting point about mid-career. I've been a teacher 14 years. I'm a tenured teacher. There are certain labor protections I have from my union. My union basically threw that stuff out. My union basically said, no, the vaccine is bigger than all of that stuff. And we're seeing some really poor consequences for that. But also, I think it's important that, Tramel, all new hires in New York City for any position in New York City and any agency now must be vaccinated. And to me, that might be the most scary and dangerous of all points. That means nobody can get a New York City job from here forward ever unless they get this vaccine. I also worry they'll add more vaccines. If they have one, why wouldn't they add other ones to it as well too? So for our children, for the future of New York City, I just see this as a very, very bad direction, a direction of authoritarianism, of surveillance, of control. And I think that's actually more of the agenda than a public health agenda as I dig deep into these issues.
That's very true. Now, I've been getting a lot of press about Kyrie Irving, right? But you were there too. So right now, what I have on the screen is the picture of you, Sophie, Kyrie Irving, and myself. What is your thoughts on meeting with Kyrie and his importance in this movement?
Irving, I can't be more happy, can't be more thrilled than what he's doing. What athlete or performer or star at that level has said, no, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not getting a fake card. No, I'm not lying. I'm not pretending. And I'm going to lose millions of dollars because of this, because this means that much to me. And then not only, graciously meet us and talk to us, but then come out with a full-throated statement in support of New York City workers who have made the same decision as him. This is something that can only be causing him problems, right? That there's no benefit for him to do it, and it just speaks to me of just the level of integrity that Kyrie has. So I just feel indebted to him in a certain sense. I feel like he has almost holds a certain piece, a spiritual piece of this movement. There's individuals that I always feel as I meet them hold a certain piece in this movement in like a spiritual sense. Paul Schweik is one of them, right? From Bravest for Choice. He was one of the key organizers to get 40,000 people over the Brooklyn Bridge back in October. And I'll never forget that he was like at the center of that issue. There's other people that there's just something that they did that I will never forget in this movement. And the way Kyrie has stood with us and stood by his word of speaking in support of us, it's priceless. It's something I'll never forget. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Kyrie. I feel that, he didn't have to do what he did, and he did do what he did, and he showed the hypocrisy in this whole entire thing. So we definitely want to thank him for that. So you have a rally coming up.
Yes.
Very soon. It's May 16th. It's on a Monday. Dig a little deeper into that. I'm gonna put the flyer on the screen while you're talking.
Yeah, so there's 9 or 10 really that does not get a vaccine. And the reason why that one is so scary is it seems innocuous. It seems like not a big deal. That would be the backbone, the central nervous system of a statewide vaccine passport. So these vaccine passports have gone away, but trust me, they are not gone permanently. There are politicians and corporate bigwigs that are plotting how to bring these things back and what the way is to go. So we're going up there to fight some of the nuts and bolts stuff. We're working on getting buses. We're working on getting buses out of New York City. So stay tuned to teachersforchoice.org, teachers, FOR choice.org. We're going to have that information up as soon as possible. It starts Monday at 10:30. There'll probably be 2 hours of speaking, and we're going to be getting in touch with lawmakers. Right now, the Capitol and the legislative building in Albany are the only non-medical buildings in all of New York State you can't enter without a vaccine passport or a negative COVID test. So this is just outrageous. They pretend this is about public health, but our Capitol is the only building locking us out if we're not vaccinated or we refuse to get a test in the springtime when we are not in the throes of a pandemic the way that we were, and no other building is doing this. So to me, this is about locking the people out of power, locking away the power away from access for the people. It's so important that we show up and we say no, and we let these people know they can't continue to do this, and they can't continue to pretend that public health is really the issue. It's not. This is power and control.
I fully agree. I fully agree with that. So, what's next for Teachers for Choice, Michael Kane? Where do you see yourself 6 months from now in this movement?
I hope I have my job back. I hope, I implore Eric Adams to do the right thing, stop the mandates, bring back the fired and banned. You have all the power to do that, Mayor Adams. You can do it. You've already done it for some performers and athletes. You should be doing it for all the working class people that have kept this city going and kept it going at the height of the pandemic. I mean, I know hundreds, thousands of people out of work now because they declined this vaccine, but they were working through the pandemic. They risked getting infected with SARS-CoV-2. They were on the front lines, heroes to zeros, and it's a terrible thing. So the mayor can end this at any moment. So I really, in 6 months, I hope we're seeing people get their jobs back. I hope that we're seeing that there is less of a need for the activism that we're doing now. But unfortunately, I think we're going to keep seeing a creep that is going to come in different ways. The thing I'm most worried about next is something called the digital identity. You know, you have these vaccine cards, and you had one, Tramel, and you ripped it up because you said you were pro-choice on medical procedures, but you were anti-segregation. Now that card is critical because that card's just a piece of paper. But in Canada, there are no cards. You know what there is? The only thing there is a QR code on your phone. If you want to fly anywhere in Canada, in the country, out of the country, you have to have a vaccine pass QR code on your phone. And what I see the next stage of this is everybody needing a QR code, AKA a digital identity. And this would be a new way of bringing all of our information together into one spot to track us, to track where we go, track our medical records, track our jobs, track where we actually are physically going. Could be linked to Easy Pass, when we're driving, where we're going, all locked in one place.
Well, they have that now, right? Like they have license plate readers, and they could track wherever you go throughout the city. So they are already tracking you one way or the other. I mean, our phones are literally tracking devices. They put all these addictive apps on it to make sure that it stays in our hand, to make sure that we keep it charged up, to make sure that we keep it on us. We're being tracked regardless. You know, I remember back in 2000s, oh, you know, they're going to give us a digital, they're going to insert a chip inside of us, and they're going to be able to track us. Nah, they didn't insert the chip inside of us. They put it inside our hands, right? They made these devices, you know, like I said, addictive and things like that. And I personally think that those are things that we're not going to be able to avoid in the future. The only way to stay off the grid is not to participate in technology, period. You know, no Siri, no Alexa, none of these devices that listen to you, you know. And I knew it was going to go that way eventually, because when they stopped taking batteries out of the phone, Mo,
yes,
from
right.
Educators for Freedom, you know, that's one of my great friends. He always said, I'm gonna hold on to my phone for as long as I can, the one that have the battery, because as soon as they start making phones that you can't take out the battery, it would never shut off. It would forever be able to listen to your conversations and, you know, all this other stuff. So I don't think that there's really no way to stop that, but you can not participate in technology. No cell phone.
Well, so
You know.
right now you cannot participate in the technology, but if they create a digital identity the way that they want to, that's also going to bring digital cash into your identity as well too. And then a social credit score will be the last thing that they need on it, which what that will mean, Tramel, is that you don't have your QR code, you don't have your phone, you can't buy nothing. Right? You can't get anything. In China right now, they have social credit scores where if you have a low social credit score, you can't ride the train. You can't ride the bus. You can't get on a plane. Or if you can ride the train, you have to ride on the least desirable seat at the least desirable hour of the day. So while you're correct, we're already going down this road. There's already surveillance. There's already tracking happening on us. It can get much worse. The more they centralize it, the more they put it into one location, into one database, into one QR code in your phone, into a microchip, whatever it might be, the more they got you. So in my opinion, we need to resist in every possible way to continue to have choice. Just like I fight for medical freedom and medical choice, I'm certainly going to continue that fight when it comes to identity, digital identity, and how we do transactions. Cash is something that should not be phased out. We should always have that option of cash. But you do see that in different ways, especially overseas in other countries. That is getting phased out. And I see my activism going into those spaces of privacy and identity as well.
Yeah. All right. So before we get out of here, I want to touch on the rally one more time. It's going to be at the Capitol in Albany, Monday, May 16th, 2022, 10:30 a.m., East Capitol Park, Albany, New York. And before that, that's on a Monday. On a Saturday before that rally, we having our MTA Workers and Riders rally. That's May 14th, 2022, Church Avenue on the B&Q. The time is 10 a.m. So, Mike, before we get out of here, any last words you want to tell the people?
I'm concerned we're headed for a summer of freedom. And, obviously I'm a medical freedom fighter, so you would think that would be a good thing. I'm concerned we're headed for a summer where things feel pre-COVID, nothing to see here. Don't go to the beach, hang out, have a good time. No vaccine passports. You don't have to show tests. Everything's okay. And then the elections come and boom, and it comes back. My words to everybody is don't sleep. They're giving us our freedom as if it's something they get to give to us. It doesn't derive from them. This derives from our creator. This derives from our sense of self. Don't allow them to lull you back into sleep. Stay in touch with Tramel and his amazing platform here at Progressive Action. Stay in touch with Teachers for Choice. Send me an email, follow on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and stay abreast of what's happening, because I'm telling you, it's going to feel like it's over. It is not over. We need you to come out and support, because lulling the people to sleep is definitely one of the tools of the powers that be. So I just encourage everybody, don't go back to sleep. Stay awake, stay active.
All right, Mike, thanks for being on my platform for the first time. This will not be the last time you will be on the platform. I don't know what took you so long to get here, but I'm happy that you're here. To my viewers, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.